Hey, John Adler here. Let's talk some bar maintenance, okay? I actually lost a tip on my bar, and I can show you here. You can see the pretty colors. Got it pinched, right? Got hot, took the bearing out, time for a new tip. So I thought I'd just, while I'm at it, let's cover some issues. So, putting a tip on. We got this single rivet, right? Whether it's single or multi-rivet, doesn't matter. You put them in, you pound them down. Here's an issue that I have seen missed, and when I say missed, I see this right out of the cardboard sheath of the brand new bar. What I'm referring to is getting that rivet or rivets down flush. So what I do is, if I can feel or catch my fingernail on anything, right, any kind of an edge on that tip, remember that we call it a burr, a metal edge that will sort of form because of your bar and chain, right? That little edge there starts to form, keep that dressed off. Anything like that will start to drag in the kerf when you're cutting, and it'll drive me nuts. So what I'll do, angle grinder, you can see here, well, you can see the marks, I've already done it. So I just take my angle grinder and I'm gonna just dust that off, and I want that really nice and smooth. Keeping the edge off, flat file is very handy, right? You can dress that off pretty nice, but make sure there is nothing that your fingernail catches on, because it will drive you crazy, slows you down, makes you work harder. Especially, this problem gets worse as your chain teeth get shorter, right? Because not only are they getting shorter, your kerf is getting narrower just by design. So it's really critical. Keep any kind of an edge off on your bar. Beyond that, because I don't sharpen my saws on the job, haven't done that in 30 some years, I have my bar in my hand, because when I need a sharp chain, I just flip a sharp chain on. I'm gonna have my bar in my hand, maybe once a day, sometimes every other day, depending on what kind of saw time I'm putting in. So because of that, it's a very handy time to clean the crud out of your bar rail, right? So I use my file plate, and I just modified one corner, simply flatten it off, and it gives me a 2-in-1 tool, and I can get that, right, those chips that pack up in the bottom of the rail, right, and there's just a little bit, if you do it every day, there's not much there, very boom, 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 and it's very quick and simple. I've seen way too many times with folks who do sharpen on their saw, they can get an awful lot of saw time accumulated on a bar and chain, and that is building up in the bottom of your rails, okay? Your chain isn't riding down where it should be. It causes other issues there. Your chain starts to get sloppy, and of course your oiler hole can start to plug up real quick. So I clean the crud out of there. I also make sure that oiler port is clean. Now I have a built-in, another little 2-in-1 tool. This is the end of my log tape that I use. So that has a very nice little point that I just go right in there, and I can clean that oil port out real easy. It doesn't take much crud packed in there, because, think about, your bar oiler does not have pressure to push anything out through that hole, so make sure that's good and clean. Beyond that, I want to show you here real quick. I'm going to reset and show you what I use as a calibrator to determine when my bar is worn out. Now there's a technical way of doing that, and that is, if you see in the books, they show with a new, a bar, put a chain on, and if you take a straight edge, I'll just do a little improvising here real quick. You take a straight edge right up against your bar, and if you push on the side of your tooth, and it can push the chain over to where the straight edge comes flat against your bar, the saw techies, they're going to say, well, your bar's worn out. Personally, I think it's a little overkill. You can see on my bar, I have some movement, Okay, it doesn't take long when you start a new chain and a brand new bar, really tight, right, and a very, very little movement, but it doesn't take many hours and you're going to start to get some movement. So I'll show you here what I use as my indicator that it really is time to start over with a new bar. So I'm hoping you can see between those two video clips, okay? The first one, what I'm doing there is I want to be able to make just chips down the end of a log. The second video, basically trying to do the same cut. Can you see where, I know I'm doing it deliberately because it's the same bar and chain, but I'm trying to illustrate that if the saw keeps wanting to just come out of the cut, and I can't make just chips, I'm not making a cookie, just chips, and my chain just keeps flopping too much sideways in the bar, to me, that's my indicator that, you know, this bar is shot and, you know, I'm going to start over. I do that type of a cut where I'm making just chips a lot when I'm bucking, either limbing and bucking, and I'll show you a short clip on what I mean with that by that. So that's just a simple, quick example of what I do a lot of, and I find it helps a lot with not getting pinched just as the two cuts come together. How often those two pieces will move a little bit and it grabs your saw and you kind of yank it out. Whereas I do a cut, I just do it habitually. I'll make that first cut. If I see compression, come in from the other side, make a partial cut, and then I just instinctively drop out. I move over just that curve, so I'm creating a double curve gap. Then I cut that, you know, when my second cut hits my first cut, even if there's some movement on the tree, you know, the log or limb, it helps a lot with not getting that little grab and yank kind of thing. Finding this is helpful. I am going to start a series here, a video series of short videos on playing guitar, running a saw, and how our brains work. Right? I think it's going to be fun. If you're interested, hope you come along for the ride. If you got some friends where you find that this might be helpful, pass it along. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Give it a thumbs up. And curious on your questions, comments, anything I can help you out on. Okay, see you in the woods someday.